Hello and welcome back to the WABAN podcast. I am your host, Nim, and I am joined by the weird kid in the back corner of your classroom who makes everybody uncomfortable. Hello, the goodest boy.
Hi. How you doing?
Yep. So anyways, moving on, this, instead of paying attention in class, he was actually on his phone watching the first 10 episodes of Avatar.
It's
so
very
how were
good.
they? Yeah.
They're great.
They're great. So do you have anything to say about them?
Well, first of all, how do I put this? The speed in which they identify the characters' personalities is very impressive. Within the first minute that each character is on screen, you get a feel for what they're like.
Yeah. I mean, in the movie did that pretty well. Like, I knew everybody was as boring as a piece of wood right away.
True.
But yeah, no, I agree with that. Just little things just seeing like Katara and Sokka on the boat, and she's practicing her water bending, splashes him.
Yeah, just
why is it every time you play with magic water, I get wet?
Yeah, they very quickly divulge that dynamic, and even with Prince Zuko and Iroh, Zuko's already screaming about the Avatar, and Iroh's just sitting there playing a little game, asking for some tea.
Yeah,
it's all calm.
Yeah, exactly. And you get this nice sense of Zuko's sort of Zuko kind of doesn't fully appreciate his uncle yet. Like, he's just kind of uncle. But then his uncle really cares. You get that sense already. Yeah, it does a really good job. Oh, and Aang, his first line was I need to tell you something. Do you want to go penguin sledding with me? That's a perfect first line for him. Because yes, he's the Avatar and everything, but he's also
he's just a kid.
12-year-old kid. Well, 112 years old, but
whatever.
Physically 12 years old. A 12-year-old kid who wants to have fun. So first episode, and I like that they take some time before the plot really gets going to get to show Aang and Katara getting to know each other and kind of hanging out. It's nice.
Right,
it's nice.
Right.
They stretch the opening, so the first two episodes are kind of, I mean, they're separate episodes, but they're they kind of go together. I think I remember hearing that when the show first aired, those two episodes aired together.
Okay.
So as that was the big opening. So it's good that they took two episodes to fully open it, to give it some time to breathe a little bit, so you could get used to the characters and stuff. I really like that.
What else is there?
I mean, you watched 10 episodes, so there's definitely a lot going on.
I'm just wondering if there's anything I should mention about the first two before moving on,
Well, I know there was literally something I was just thinking of, but I can't basically. I was gonna say it's nice that you start out in kind of a pretty simple location. It's just the Southern Water Tribe. It's this small little tribe in the South Pole. It's not too complicated yet. It's you start in a nice simple location while you're getting used to the characters and the basic setup of the show, and then you're going to start exploring all these other crazy things around the world.
Right.
It's a nice. It's the humble beginnings of all the craziness that is to come. I really like that.
Let's see, remind me of the order of things, because I'm going to get that mixed up. There was
So you have the first 2 episodes, which we're talking about now, which is The Boy in the Iceberg and The Avatar Returns.
Right.
Okay. Then after that, you have the 3rd episode, which is The Southern Air Temple.
Right. Okay. And that's where
they go
and figures out, what it means that he's 112 years old.
Yeah. Well, I think that's where he first figures out that it's been 100 years. I think too.
Well, Qatar mentioned it like within the Fire Nation ship that they were exploring, and then
I guess you're right. Yeah, no, you're right.
And then Aang just realized that all
of his people
actually has been 100 years.
Like this is when it fully sinks in. Well, because he sees like they go and all of his people are like dead, and he sees like the thing that really triggers it is he sees the skull of Monk Gyatso, the monk who like trained him, and like that moment is like that's really hits you.
For a kid show, Avatar really hits home sometimes.
Yeah. Well, the weird thing is like you only get like a few moments with Monk Gyatso. Like you get like a little flashback,
right?
And that's pretty much it. But like cakes. But even just with that, you still feel that moment,
right?
I mean, okay, like, and it's like, okay, he's dead too before that, but like just seeing Aang's reaction to it and like seeing Aang seeing it, it's like,
and then also afterwards, like seeing Katara and Sokka comfort him, that's so nice. They're great friends.
Yeah, it is, and they're like, they're like, yeah, we're your family now and stuff like that. Like that's just
wholesome.
It is so wholesome. But also the other plot that's happening in that episode is when Zuko meets up with Zhao.
Right.
Do you remember? Yeah, and because like his ship was destroyed from the last episode. So that's the first time you meet Zhao as well, and they have like an Agni Kai battle against each other.
And Zuko wins, and you get to feel like, Zuko's the bad guy, but he's not as bad as this guy.
Yes, exactly. Well, yeah, because like he goes, "Do it, finish me off," and then Zuko doesn't. That's like a nice little like, okay, yeah, Zuko's not a monster. But I mean, because that's really like the whole idea, I think, of the character of Zuko is like, at first you're like, okay, he's the villain. He's going to be the villain of this. But then you start to realize like, he's not.
Maybe not.
He's not a bad person. It's just
he's kind of obsessive.
He's doing bad things because of his obsession, because of he's brainwashed by, the nation he lives in, and his father. And, because of his father is evil. Yes. But he's by nature, he's a good person. He just does these bad things because of, it is really interesting to like see that, I think.
Yeah, definitely.
And you definitely get more of that as it goes on. But yeah, and it's
one, I do remember a moment. I don't remember what episode it was, but when Iroh gets kidnapped, Zuko chooses to go and save him rather than come after the Avatar, which is like a huge moment for him.
Yep, that's one of the big ones they point out, is like that's one of his first like really like good moments. Right. It's like he chooses to not follow his obsession, in order to save his uncle.
Yeah. Also, that same episode, you kind of realize just how like awesome Uncle Iroh is, because he's been, kidnapped and he's being taken to Ba Sing Se, but he's just calm, chill, and he leaves a slipper and escapes just fine.
I love how he's like, "Oh, can you tighten the chains? My bone, they're too loose. Like they're too loose. Okay, we'll tighten them." And
He
He
just
heats up
burns
the
his
chains,
hand.
burns. I love that. But no, I mean the show has a lot of really good comedy too. Like
Oh yeah.
it's amazing how it balances the comedy with the like more dark, serious stuff, like more emotional stuff. I think it does a really good job with that, and
It's,
the interesting story.
What episode was Boomy?
That is episode 5, I believe, The King of Omashu.
Right.
Yeah.
That entire episode is really good at that.
Yeah, that entire episode is like, that one is mostly comedy. There's not a lot of serious stuff going on there.
Well, but like the entire time there's that like underlying tone of, Katara and Sokka are being consumed by crystals.
Yeah, that's true. But I mean, at the end of the day, they were never in any real danger. Like, he just did it just to like, because but it's, I mean,
he's a mad genius.
He's a mad genius, yeah. Boomy's just a fun character,
He really is.
Like, it's strange too to think like Boomy is as old as Aang is too.
Yeah.
So he's old as like he's literally 112 years old. Like Aang is, but like Aang was frozen, so he's probably like the oldest character in the show. I mean, I guess that's still alive at this time, anyways. I mean, except for Aang, but like I mean, like actual age wise, I guess, because like
actually being able to age.
Yeah, so it probably but yeah. So, yeah, because that's when you get like Omashu, which is really cool. Mm-hmm. Let's see what else is there. You have the Warriors of Kyoshi. That's episode 4.
That was like the first episode that was just like, oh, that's why I'm like this. Like, you ever like look back on an old TV show that you used to watch and be like, oh, yeah, that's definitely affecting me today. Because it was just like that's like 4 episodes is the time that it took for Sokka to get set straight on his like gender role crap. Mm-hmm. And it like they just stomped it out like in that 4th episode.
Yes. Yeah.
And I don't know, something about that has stuck with me for my 20 years of life.
Mm-hmm. That's actually awesome, because like I guess like the whole idea is like they know obviously a lot of younger kids are watching this, so they're going to give like nice little like good messages of like, don't be sexist. So right. It is nice that they have that, and it is nice to see that like that has actually stuck with you since you were young. That's actually kind of cool.
It's not. It was like Sokka came in, he was kind of being obnoxious and not the greatest, and at first it was like he was like firmly put in his place, but it didn't stay like that. They. It got better. They made up, and it wasn't just still like that harsh relationship.
Yeah. Well, yeah, because I mean, that was with Suki, and where their relationship ends up later on in the show. Right. So it's kind of it's kind of cool to see that. I like that. I like that they kind of like dealt with that. Because they, it's definitely interesting. But yeah, definitely good message, a good little message for kids. I love how he like legitimately gets like the sexism just beat out of him, right? Like she just freaking beats him up and he's like, oh, women can be strong too. Okay. And then he spends then if you notice throughout the entire show, he spends pretty much the whole show being surrounded by strong women, you know, because like Katara, Toph, Suki, literally season 2, the 3 main villains of season 2 are women, like
right.
I just love that, like the show never had the issue of like never had the issue of not having strong female characters, for sure. They always
definitely
they always had a good balance of strong male characters and female characters.
there's something to be said about like the diversity of them too, because it's not just like copy and pasted at all. Because like Katara and Toph are totally different.
Oh yeah, they're strong in much different ways. Yeah.
You know, Toph is like very confident and confrontational, while Katara is more like more calm and rational. And
she's very motherly.
Yes, definitely.
It's exactly. They definitely do a good job of like making each character their own unique character, which is always good. It's not just each one of these women is just another strong female. Like, yes, they are, but it's like there's more than that.
Yeah, right.
And like when you see like, you know, like in the next season, when you see like May and Ty Lee, for instance, they're very different personalities, and they also have very different fighting styles. And like,
remind me again, those are the two with Lightning McQueen, right?
Yeah, those are the two. Yeah, those are Azula's two henchmen. Those are Azula's two friends. Yeah.
I'm never gonna be able to get Lightning McQueen out of my head.
Oh yes. Let's just not even explain that for people who haven't listened to the other episodes.
Definitely not. I mean, it's pretty self-explanatory.
That's true. That's true. Yeah, I mean, it is. It is. But yeah, so I think if you look at like these first 10 episodes, it is kind of interesting to see like how, like, at this point, this show is decently simple. You know what I mean? Like, it's
definitely,
as far as like plot wise goes, it's just kind of like they're trying to travel to the North Pole to learn waterbending, and Zuko and Zhao are both chasing after the Avatar. Like that's pretty much the main plot of the season. This season doesn't get too much more complex than that, which is fine. It's a really good. I think that's a really good first season. It gives you some time to get to know, and then like season 2 is where the plots get much more complex.
If it's too complicated right off the bat, you're going to lose a lot of people.
Yeah, and it's you
need time to get invested before you really bring in the big guns.
Yeah, well, that's the thing, is like they have a basic formula for the episodes, but like they break the formula before it becomes too formulaic. You know what I mean? Like they're doing it for a little bit. It's like, okay, each episode Zuko tries to capture them, doesn't, like whatever, you know, basic, but then it's like, but then they break that formula before it becomes too like overdone, you know? So they do a good job of that. But yeah, so there's that. So
next
the Warriors
would be the Earth prison, right?
Yeah. Well, next was, we already talked about King of Omashu. That's episode 5.
Right.
I actually have the list right here. Next is the Earth Kingdom imprisoned. You know, the proper Earth Kingdom prison, where you don't just imprison Earthbenders on Earth.
Right.
You know, just a little logical thing.
Where they could actually do something.
Yeah. But yeah, I like this. This is a good episode. It's a good episode to like introduce the full extent of like what the Fire Nation is like to the rest of the world, like how their imperialism is impacting the rest of the world. It's a really good it's definitely a really good episode to sort of fully introduce that, because so far up to that point we've only really seen like
attacks, like direct attacks
from Zuko.
Oh, that's what you mean. Okay.
Yeah, up to that point we've seen like Zuko trying to capture the Avatar mostly. Like as far as like the what the Fire Nation is doing. That's not really representative of like Fire Nation as a whole.
Right. What I was getting at was they just kind of were attacking, and like it was mainly directed at Aang and what was around him.
Yeah.
But so now it was like they had already captured a ton of Earthbenders just because they were Earthbenders.
Right, exactly. Because this is the first one where you fully see like, okay, so this is how the war is affecting people, like everyday people. So I think it's definitely an important episode for that. And I like, it's a nice little episode. Like it's not, it's a decently simple episode, but it's a good good one to introduce that idea. And I like the creativity of them trying to figure out, like, how are we going to break them out of prison? Wait a minute, there's coal, and
there's smoke. That means there's coal.
That means they're burning coal. Coal is earth. Yeah. And then they like, yeah, I like that.
I love the father of the kid that got captured. His voice is so just.
Yeah, no, he's done a lot of voice acting. I don't know his name, but I know I know it from other places. You know,
right.
It's one of those
just
voices,
very like rumbly deep.
Yeah. It's a good voice. I mean, they have all good voice acting in here. I think Dante Bosco might be one of my favorite voice actors from this show. He's the one who voices Zuko.
Okay.
He does really good. I mean, I guess I could say, Mark Hamill is technically in the show, but like he's not in it that much. He's just in it whenever the Fire Lord talks. But I mean, he's great. But yeah, no, there's
if I remember correctly, Mark Hamill is the Obi-Wan guy, right?
No.
No?
Luke Skywalker, yeah.
Right.
The original Luke Skywalker, yeah. He played it in the original Star Wars. And he's voice acting now is his thing.
Where did I get Obi-Wan from? Oh, well.
I don't know. I probably mentioned to you that Mark Hamill was like from Star Wars and you were thinking Star Wars Obi-Wan. Right. Yeah.
Maybe it's because he just kind of looks like Obi-Wan, doesn't he?
Maybe
like the hair and beard combo.
Yeah, I could say that. Yeah, because he has like a beard now and everything. Because like, yeah, because I guess for reference, have you seen like the newer Star Wars movies?
I have not.
Okay. I was going to say for reference,
maybe like the first, because there's 3, right?
Yeah.
So I think I've seen the first one.
Yeah.
Where he first brings out the Millennium Falcon. Yeah,
so at the end of that movie, you see Mark Hamill for like a few seconds.
Right.
But yeah, and then he's in the second one a lot more. And I'm not a huge fan of those movies, to be honest. But especially episode 9. But anyways, we're not talking about that.
Yeah, back to the topic.
That's a topic for another day. But yeah, so but point being, this show picks their voice actors very well.
Yes.
They're all like perfect for their roles and everything. Anyways, Sokka's voice actor, just I can't imagine like anybody doing a better job.
Oh yeah.
Like he plays that personality so perfectly. Like some of his lines being said by anybody else would sound dumb and corny, but like said by that voice actor specifically, it just works, you know?
Right. It'll quench you. It's the quenchiest. Drink cactus juice.
Exactly. Like imagine anybody else saying that line. It wouldn't work. I forget his name, but he's great. I could look it up, but I don't feel like it right now. So anyways, yeah, that's Imprisoned is that episode. And then we move on to Winter Solstice Part 1, which is the one where Iroh gets captured, that you had mentioned before. So that's like
reveals that he's absolutely awesome.
Yes. I think, yeah. Is that the first time that he mentions that he was known as? I think that might be the first time that he was mentioned that he was known as the Dragon of the West.
Maybe. I know earlier Zhao mentioned that he was like a retired general.
Yeah.
But I don't think they mentioned the name.
But like, it's funny because like you mention it at some point. I think it might be this episode. It might be, it's somewhere in season 1. It might be this episode. It's mentioned like, oh, you were the one who was known as the Dragon of the West. I think the Earthbenders were like, we captured the Dragon of the West or something like that. I don't remember.
Right.
But you don't understand why he was called that until like the end of season 2. I love it.
They do mention in that episode the, you're pretty familiar with where we're taking you. You once like held a siege on it for 600 days. It's
and
like,
Ba
Sing Se.
And then I love how he goes, yeah, I stopped. He's like, yeah, and then I stopped because I was so tired.
My men were tired. I'm still tired. And then he falls off the horse.
But then later on, you
Fourth,
find out the real reason why he quit.
I don't remember that.
Okay, maybe we'll talk about that more later. But it's yeah. Because I wasn't sure if you remembered that or not.
Not at all. I do remember the scene where he's trapped in the prison cell and he's working out like really intensely.
Yeah. In season 3, yeah, that's pretty awesome. I love that.
It's a great scene, but we'll talk about that later, I guess.
Yeah, sure. So the other thing that's going on in Winter Solstice Part 1, because that's sort of like the B plot, right? So the A plot is obviously Aang, Katara, Sokka come across a town that was being attacked by a spirit. And Aang, they're like, the Avatar is the bridge between the two worlds. You need to help us. And Aang's like, I have no clue what to do. I have no clue how to do this. I love the scenes where Aang is just going out and he's just like, hi, I'm the Avatar. I'm the bridge between the worlds, and I'm here to help stuff. So go away, spirit. Like
he basically, he makes a demand. Like, I demand you leave this town alone. Like, and he holds out his hand, and then he realizes, I can like stab like the ground with my staff.
Yeah, I love how he has like no clue what he's doing, which I mean makes sense. He's only a 12-year-old boy, But yeah, so it's a good episode. It's really the first time you learn about the spirit world, actually.
Yeah,
I think another interesting little hint. I don't know if you noticed this, but there's the spirit, the Roku riding on his dragon, like as a spirit, basically in the spirit world,
right? With
Aang on top of it. It's like a weird part where the spirit world merges with the real world. So like the spirits are in the real world, kind of, but people can't see them. That type of thing,
right?
It flies. It's flying. They're flying by, and they fly past where the Earthbenders captured Iroh. Nobody else notices.
Right.
Iroh looks, and you can see Iroh can see it.
Yeah. But nobody else brushes it off.
It just happens.
Right.
So yeah, that it's really interesting. I like that like little hint that like Iroh knows more about the spirit world.
I don't remember if there's any specific thing that's referencing.
Basically, as you get further in the show, you kind of realize like Iroh has a connection to the spirit world, and it's kind of shown or hinted at that he has visited the spirit world in the past, and stuff like that. So yeah, there's definitely a lot of stuff along with that. So that's, but that's like it's like interesting. So like if you were watching it for the first time and you noticed that, you'd be like, wait a minute, I thought nobody else could see it. So it's a really interesting little detail. I think that my second time watching was the only time the first time I noticed that. But yeah, I really like it.
I do also want to mention, I don't remember what the spirit was called, but its abilities where it just kind of like shifted and like didn't quite teleport, but it kind of did. And then the light that spewed from its mouth, those are really cool. Like the spirit that was attacking the town.
Oh, yeah. That's right. Yeah.
Because it shifted and it left like a little path of light.
Yeah.
It seemed like it would teleport it. Like that effect was really cool to me.
Yeah, I don't remember exactly what you're talking about, but yeah, I think yeah. But yeah, I like how and then they realized the spirit was just
the panda.
Just a panda.
Cute just trying panda.
Just didn't want them to be destroying its home. Even though they didn't, the people in the town didn't destroy the trees. I think it was like the Fire Nation or something. But yeah, then you have Winter Solstice Part 2, which is where they go to the temple, the Fire Nation temple, like where they have the Avatar temple thing. So I think each nation has like temples for like the Avatar, and they meet like the Fire Sages who are like supposed to be like serving the Avatar or whatever, but they all had turned over the years.
Yeah, except for one.
The ultimate. But yeah, and that's the episode where you first learn of Sozin's comet as well,
Right.
which I think is a really good addition to the show because like it sort of raises the stakes because
Oh yeah.
currently in the show up to that point you're kind of like, okay, he's got to defeat the Fire Lord eventually,
Yeah,
like he can
there's no
take a few
rush.
years if he needs to. Now it's like, oh, you
Yeah,
have to do it before the end of this next summer, and he's like, oh, well.
and I need to still learn
And
three bending styles.
I haven't even started learning water bending yet. So that actually makes the show more interesting, I think, because it creates some interesting stakes. And steaks are delicious. So,
Of course.
I was gonna say that.
When they were trying to open the 5 sealed door thing, that you needed 5 firebenders. It didn't work, but it also helped, so it's worth mentioning. Sokka's idea to try to make fake fire to trick the door. I don't think before then that Sokka really had a solidified use in the group. Because the first few episodes, he was just being made a fool of by the Fire Nation.
Yeah.
And then he grew in the 4th episode, but I don't think he ever actually had an impact through combat or anything like that. But that he actually he came up with a good idea and he executed it and it worked, and it might not have worked the way he intended, but it definitely helped because they used the smoke and the singeing to trick the sages.
So it ended up helping them. Yeah, I do like that. Well, yeah, that's where it establishes Sokka as he's the idea guy in the group. He's the guy who's always coming up with clever plans and strategies and ideas. And he works really well as that part. Because he doesn't have any bending, so he's got to contribute something.
He's got his mind though.
Mm-hmm.
Which it's also very interesting that the ideas guy is also the comedy relief guy. It's a very interesting combination.
I can. Yeah, I think that is interesting. Well, because the show, there's no I hate when people kind of when they just kind of go oh, here's the comedy relief character, and that's all they are. They're just I'm funny, and that's it. There's no more character to them than that. It's they exist specifically for that reason. Sokka doesn't exist only for comedy. He's an integral part to the story beyond that.
There's I hate to mention this because you won't get the reference, but in Critical Role, my D&D show, the first campaign, Scanlan Shortalt is a gnome bard. And he's basically the same level as everyone else, and he's practically just as powerful, but he's the bard. So he's he's often the jokes guy. He just kind of ends up as that. And there's a moment in the show where I don't know if he realizes it or it just hits him very hard in that moment, or he gets really mad about it and leaves the party for a while because he's mad that he is just the jokes guy to them. And it, it was very interesting in it.
There you go. That's actually interesting. That's an interesting way to play with the whole comedy relief trope. This is the comedy guy. This is where all the laughs come from. Because realistically, your comedy relief should come from everyone. I think just come from the interactions between the characters. You can have one person who is the funniest one or has more funny. Sokka is definitely more funny than the other characters, but he's not the only one who has funny lines. There's a nice mixture, a nice balance. A lot of the comedy comes from just the interactions between them. and like them arguing with each other or like whatever, things like that. So yeah. Um yeah. Right.
Then
Yeah.
the scene where, what's the avatar before him's name?
Roku,
where Roku like takes over for Aang when the door opens.
oh yeah.
Like that moment is awesome because like he's not fire bending, he's not earth bending, he's magma bending, which is really cool to
Oh
me.
yeah, that's right. Yeah, because like I think, yeah, it's like lava bending or whatever,
Right.
magma. Yeah.
And then earlier in the episode, the guy that was leading them was like, Avatar Roku made these caves as his home using magma bending. And then later in the episode, you get to see it. It's like, oh, that's what it is. So cool.
Yep. Yeah, that is cool. I really like how the different like subgenres of like bending. It's like because you have like the basics, but then you have like beyond that. It's not just
Yeah.
because like with firebending, there's also lightning and magma and like and then like with earthbending, you can also do lava
Metal
bending.
bending. Or
you can do metal. Yeah, there's metal bending. It becomes discovered later on.
and then
Toph discovers it, and then you can do lava bending as well.
There's also
Sand bending, right? There's sand bending, and there's like certain people who are like specifically skilled in one. Like the sand benders are like really good with sand, but like a typical earthbender probably might not be that skilled with sand.
Right.
So it's like I kind of like the cool diversity with that.
And then the blood bending.
Oh yes, and blood bending. Yes,
blood bending.
Yes, we'll definitely talk more about that in season 3. Yeah.
I saw a meme that was a picture of a huge book, and it's like Avatar lore, and then a really small book is like Avatar lore of Qatar, just blood bended some people.
Nice.
Like, blood bending is so powerful.
Yeah.
Like, that's insane, but I guess that's for later.
Yep. So next we have... So after that episode, then you had the water bending scroll.
Oh, right.
Right. So this is the first time Aang is like starting to learn water bending.
Mm-hmm.
It's also
really
the episode.
Good at it.
Yeah, and Qatar is like annoyed.
Yeah.
that he's like picking it up easier than she did. Yeah, and then this is one with the pirates as well, so that's fun. There's some funny moments with that. I don't know. I feel like there's not a lot to say about this episode. Like it's a good episode, but it's like it's like your average episode,
I guess they established like Qatar is not just like a goody two shoes because she stole a scroll from pirates.
That's true.
And they kind of solidify Sokka as being the ideas guy when he like convinces the pirates to go against the Fire Nation.
But that's right. I forgot about that.
Yeah. There's not like a huge amount to discuss, I guess.
Yeah, there's not. But that's the episode. Is that the episode where they get the bison whistle?
Yes, it is.
For the first time. Yeah. So and they end up having that for the rest of the show. So that's a cool little addition to the show.
And they even establish its use pretty quickly.
Yeah. At the end of the episode, they use it to call Appa in to save the day.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I like it. And then. And the pirates, it's interesting because the pirates are established now, and the pirates do come back in later on in the season one more time. So,
I don't remember that.
Well, we'll get to that.
Of course.
And then after that, you have Jet, which is episode 10. So I'm assuming that's the last one you watched.
It was, yes.
Yes. Okay. So Jet is good.
Yeah, that's once again, it's a moment of a kid show, like portraying something very serious.
Yeah.
But doing it very well still.
Yeah. Well, like, I remember when I first watched the episode, like, I was thinking, like, okay, so, like, this is like the Robin Hood and his band of merry men type of thing. Like, we're gonna, help the poor people, whatever. I was like, okay, it's that. They're just kind of doing that. And then you start as you go, you realize the
oh no,
the evil side of Jet, and you're
yeah,
like, oh shit, he's planning on wiping out this entire town full of innocent people.
mm-hmm.
Okay, that's pretty bad.
And the entire time, Sokka's just like, no, Jet's not a good guy. We gotta go. No one believes him, and then he proves it, and he saves the day, and he's all,
Well, I like the little detail that the only reason that people in the town believe him and decide to leave is because the old man that he vouched for him.
Yeah.
The old man that he helped earlier, because he went out and they were like, he's Fire Nation, let's attack him, and then at the end he's like, I'm sorry, he defended him. And so I like that because he defended this innocent old man, he was able to he vouched for him, and and they were able to get everybody out. I really like that little detail. I think that was really cool.
Everyone's trying to when Sokka realized it, he tried, and then when Aang and Katara when they realized it, they also tried to convince Jet that you're going about this the wrong way, but Jet's so stubborn with it, and he refuses to see it any other way, but he fails in the end.
Yep. Yeah. Jet will return, though.
Ooh. He will. I do remember that.
I love Jet's swords. They have a hook on the end.
I want to make a D&D character with those.
Yeah, that's cool. I don't know what they're called. I don't know.
There is a name for it. I don't know what it is.
Were they created for the show, or do those things like that exist in real life?
No, they exist. They're meant to. Well, Jet uses them pretty well. They're meant to hook onto weapons and pull them out of the way so that the other sword can deliver a blow. Right.
Yeah, no, I think that's really cool. It gives his fighting style a uniqueness to it,
Mm-hmm.
Because he's the only character who has them, so it's really cool.
Right. Especially when he hooks them together and swings them so that the other one's flailing around the other one.
Yeah, he does that, and then he'll also hook them to he can use it like a zip line, basically, right? Or to swing on something.
They're so cool.
Yeah, they are really cool. Yeah. This is also the episode where they're this is the Sokka's Instincts episode where they're
right.
So, should we ask Sokka's Instincts? Yeah.
Hey, Sokka's Instincts, can you carry my bag?
So me and my girlfriend and her roommate here, we'll be watching things because we just recently watched this show together and we love it. We'll make jokes about that all the time. Anytime we're watching something and somebody says something it's my instincts are telling me this, and I'll be like, well, are they Sokka's instincts though? I'll just be are they as trustworthy as Sokka's instincts?
I love how they ended. They even ended the episode with it, didn't they? With I think it was why'd you choose to warn the town instead of trying to stop Jet? It's was it your instincts? Well, sometimes they're right. You realize you're going the wrong way, right? And sometimes they're wrong.
Oh yeah. Yep. Yeah. So these first 10 episodes are definitely it gives you a good starting point for the show, for sure.
Oh, yeah.
Before it gets really complicated, you haven't gotten to the Storm, the Blue Spirit yet, things like that. So you don't get start getting those details yet, but it's still really simple. It's a good. They do you get a lot of fun episodes. It's a really good starting off point for sure.
Yeah. They establish the characters. They establish relationships. They establish the vague direction that the story's going.
Establish Sokka's instincts.
Establish that Iroh could handle himself in many ways.
Yeah, because like at this point you don't fully know. Like there's something with like the backstory, with like Aang and
Right.
Zuko, but you don't get that episode quite yet.
Yeah, Zuko's just spouting some nonsense about honor, and you don't know why yet.
Yeah, you don't fully understand. Like, okay, so why was he banished? Why does he have to chase
What's
the
so
Avatar?
important about the Avatar to him?
But yeah, you'll get that very soon. Not in the next episode. The next episode is what is considered the worst episode of the show, The Great Divide. So that's
yeah. I mean, I remember that episode pretty well, but
yeah.
Like, why is it considered the worst though?
I don't know. I mean, there's a lot of reasons. I personally think it's the worst, but I don't think that's. See, to me, it's like the worst of episode of Avatar doesn't mean it's bad. It just means it's not as good as the rest. Like I don't hate it. I don't particularly like it either. To me, it's kind of a mediocre episode to me. Like there are good moments of it, but it's like if I had to skip an episode of Avatar, this would be the one I would skip. So, but yeah, I guess maybe you'll watch the rest of the season by next week. I don't know, possibly.
We'll figure it out.
I mean, we might be talking about a movie next week too.
Maybe, and then the week after would be next 10 episodes.
Yeah. So the movie. So I have like a list of like just a few different movies I just kind of thought of on the spot.
Hit me with them.
So we got here we go. So I put two separate lists. Okay, I put good movies and bad movies. Okay.
Ooh, all right.
So we'll probably go with a good movie because the first one we did was a bad movie. So it makes sense.
Makes sense to me.
So I just threw out some random ones of like movies that I like. So Fight Club. Okay.
I've heard quite a bit about that, mainly that you don't talk about it.
Yeah. And, we might end up talking about it. So I don't know.
We're going to break the rules, though.
Darn. I put Whiplash. That's a really good movie.
I have no idea what that is.
Yeah, it's a really good movie. It's about a jazz drummer, but it's really good. I don't really want to say much more. It's really good.
All right, sure.
Goodfellas. I just threw on there because it's a good movie.
I don't know anything about that one either.
And then I just put down like franchises, right? Like Indiana Jones, Lord of the Rings, things like that. So I put those down.
Well, if we do that, then we're going to have to do the whole series.
Well, right. That's the thing. Because technically for like, if you did, let's say Lord of the Rings, you could do all three and just talk about them all at once, But
yeah, that's a lot though.
You wouldn't necessarily, well, yeah. But the thing is, when you watch one Lord of the Rings movie, you're like automatically like, I want to watch the next one right now. So, yeah, they're also long movies, Lord of the Rings. Like Indiana Jones, you could definitely do like separate things because the movies don't really affect each other. Like they're each completely different stories. It's like a James Bond movie kind of type of thing where it's like each one is a separate story. So we have that. And then, I mean, I can read the bad movies. We probably won't do them now because, again, the first one was bad. So it's nice to switch to a good one.
Give me an idea.
So for bad movies, I put The Room, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
That's like the most famous bad movie. I put the Star Wars Holiday Special.
I feel like I've once upon a time heard something about that, but it was too long ago to remember anything.
Oh yeah, it's painful.
Okay.
Troll 2, that's a famous one for like, I think that's what it's called, right? For like bad. Is it Troll or is it? Yeah, it's like an older movie. I don't know how old, but it's like it's a weird because it's technically a sequel to a movie called Troll, but it's literally has nothing to do with the first movie or something. So like,
okay, weird.
I don't know. It's weird. I've never seen it, but some of these are ones that I like. That's one I've just heard of that I know is like a so bad that it's funny kind of movie. I have ready for this, the Bee Movie.
I've seen so many memes about just I downloaded like a small indie game online once, and there is a little secret that there's like a button in a menu somewhere that says please don't press, and when you press it, it scrolls through the entire script of the Bee Movie.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So
That's
stupid.
Yeah, it's I don't know. See, that one's actually entertaining though because it's so bizarre.
Right.
Like, no, everything in the movie is just high, pretty much. Like nothing is like every second you're like, what? This is happening? Okay. What? This bee wants to have sex with a human? What's going on? I don't know.
This human's actually agreeing? And then isn't there like the like I guess in the terms of the movie, it's like the guy who, would be the girl's boyfriend if the bee wasn't along, and that guy's like the only reasonable person in the whole movie.
Pretty much. Yeah, because
Okay.
like literally in the movie, it's like all this crazy stuff is happening around him, and they're all like treating him like he's the like she's treating him like he's the crazy one, and you're like, realistically, he's the sane one here. Like,
yeah,
he's the one who's like, what is happening?
That guy's a bee. What are you doing?
No, it is it is actually a pretty funny movie. I don't even know if I want to call it a bad movie. Like it's just bizarre. Like it's not really a good movie. It's entertaining because it's so ridiculous.
Yeah, I get what you mean.
Yeah. So those are some options. Do we want to? So I guess we can go up to the good movies list and try to pick something out of there.
Well, I've never watched Lord of the Rings.
Mm-hmm.
Indiana Jones, I think I at least watched most of them, but that was a while ago, so I probably don't remember a lot of it.
Okay. And then we have Goodfellas, Whiplash, Fight Club.
Goodfellas and Whiplash, I have no clue what they are about.
Yeah.
Fight Club, my extent of my knowledge with Fight Club is you don't talk about Fight Club.
Yeah. That's like one of my favorite movies. I haven't seen it in a while though, but I mean, we can do Fight Club if you want.
I'm not sure.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing is like you don't know like anything about some of these movies, so it's hard to like be like, yes, I definitely want to do that one. Yeah.
I think right off the bat, I'm most interested in Lord of the Rings.
Okay.
However, that it's a
time commitment,
series of movies, and a time commitment.
Right. Yeah. Watching all three movies probably takes up like 9 hours. It's a great 9 hours, but it's still 9 hours. And the thing is, like, I feel like with with Lord of the Rings, it's always better if you watch them together. Like, I'm not saying like one right after the other, like spread them out like one day, then the next day you watch the next one, not like all in one day. But like, I mean, you can if you want to do a big marathon, but it's nice. It's like it's better to not like watch one, wait a week, then watch the next one. It's
right.
It's nicer to watch them all together. I think, anyways, or at least closer together.
With that, because I guess we'll do movies like every other week.
Yeah.
So if we just do one movie at a time,
it would be like one, and then 2 weeks later you'd watch the next one. 2 weeks later, yeah,
right, which isn't
yeah,
ideal.
yeah.
But
I mean,
doing them all in the same week is also like a big commitment.
how about this? This is actually a good idea. So we won't do that this time. We won't do Lord of the Rings this time because we only have a week till the next step till we're doing the movie discussion. So if we pick a single movie for now, and then maybe next week we can be like, oh, we'll assign like those 3 movies for the next 2 weeks after that. So that way you have 2 full weeks to.
All right.
If you want to. So for now, we can go with something else. Because the nice thing, like Indiana Jones, like I said, you can kind of do one at a time because they're different stories. Like Lord of the Rings is all one story, like
right. I get what you
flows
mean.
right together. So we could do that, or we could do one of the other ones, and you could just be surprised with something you know nothing about.
Then I would say either Fight Club or was it Goodfellas?
Okay. Let's go with Fight Club.
All right.
All right, so there we go. In a week from today, we will talk about Fight Club. The thing you're not supposed to do.
Breaking the rules.
We're breaking the first rule. Literally everyone makes that joke when they talk about Fight Club. Like, this isn't an original joke. You know, every YouTube video review about Fight Club is like opens with like, "We're about to break the first rule," and then they start talking about it. You know,
right.
It's like,
I mean, it's right there.
It's the most obvious joke. Yeah. you just have to take it, you know. But yeah, anyways, we have okay. I'm trying to like figure out. So we probably want to close now, I guess. So we talked about the first 10 episodes of Avatar. Great episodes. I'm excited to talk about the rest as well. We'll do that in a few weeks. But next week, we will talk about Fight Club, maybe some other topics. I don't know. We'll see where it takes us. I'm excited. I'm excited to rewatch it myself, actually, because I haven't seen it in like forever. So yeah, that'll be exciting. So anyways, thank you for listening to the WABAN podcast. Let me go over some places you can listen to it to. I don't know where you're listening to it now, but if you are able to, you can listen to it on my YouTube channel, which is NIMTV. That's NIMTV. And then you can also listen to it on Anchor, anchor.fm/WABAN. That's WABAN. And there's also other audio platforms you can listen to it on, that being Breaker, Google Podcasts, Pocket Casts, Radio Public, and Spotify. Still don't have it on Apple Podcasts because, yeah, I honestly I just have a busy life. You know, I actually have been pretty busy recently, so yeah, I do have an excuse. But yeah, if you just search WABAN, WABAN, or WABAN exclamation point as well, I think, because that's like how the title's listed. I don't know. I don't know how, you know, you'll be able to find it probably, maybe, sort of.
You're really doing a great job over there.
Yeah, see, that's the thing. Like, I think being chaotic is our style, you know, just kind of being all over the place with things.
I mean, it's much easier that way, isn't it?
It's much easier. And, you know, that's the way my life is anyways. My life is just chaotic anyways. So it's just makes sense. But yeah, thank you for listening to the WABAN podcast. I have been Nim.
And I'm the goodest boy.
Goodbye, everyone.